And welcome into the Make the Money and Run podcast for Monday, December 13th, 2021. We're sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino and the Britannia Arms of Capitola. Check out both for happy hour specials during the week. Don't forget NFL Sunday Ticket, as well as all the other accoutrements they have, breakfast and lunches for the Sunday Ticket. Want to thank the Britannia Arms of Cupertino for hosting us yesterday. A great day. Some of the football was pretty good as well, too. If you had the Buffalo Bills like I did, then it might not have ended up pretty good. And, of course, my Chicago Bears ended up turning the game around the other way after having a big lead. But we'll get to all that and more. Lots to talk about in the NFL. College football, the bowl games will start this week. We'll have a full preview on Thursday and Friday with Charlie O as the bowl game season start. Who knows where the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl is or who's playing in the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. That's one for Saturday evening. We'll get to that as well, too. But right now, let's get to the NFL. As we said, we're here every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 3 o'clock on Mondays, 1 o'clock on Thursdays and Fridays for the Friday football show specifically, right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter Live. Download, subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. If you miss it, you can always subscribe on Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud. Don't forget our social media selections every day by 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday, 3 times on Saturday, twice on Sunday for the NCAA basketball now and NFL football on Sunday, but we include all the sports in our subject matter. All right, let's get to it. From Sunday, Cleveland Browns moved to 7-6, a 24-22 victory over the Ravens. The Ravens with 2 touchdowns late, they're able to cover, and they moved to 7-6 to the Browns and moved to the number 8 spot. Baltimore drops all the way down to the number 4 spot. Lamar Jackson got hurt with the ankle injury. He missed this whole second half of the football game. Tyrone Huntley came in, touchdowns for Baltimore, got 2 touchdowns late. If you have the Ravens +3 or +2.5, you ended up getting a break there as Baltimore ends up covering the game. But they lose. They're 8-5. They're only a game ahead of the Cleveland Browns right now, a game ahead of the Cincinnati Bengals right now, as we'll get to them in a little bit later. And then Pittsburgh lost on Thursday night to Minnesota as well. All right, so Cleveland moves in to 7-6 spot. They're in the 8th spot now. They're 1 game back in the wild card race. The top 7 make it. As I look at it right now, I believe Buffalo is still in the top 7 after their game yesterday. But the fact is that Cleveland played well yesterday. Their defense played well, able to keep up with the Baltimore Ravens. I know Lamar Jackson got hurt and the offense didn't move very well. But in the second half, Baltimore's offense got going a little bit. Cleveland may have been a little lackadaisical. They are even with Buffalo. Buffalo has the tiebreaker over Cleveland. Denver, based on the best winning percentage in the conference. And the tiebreak was used to eliminate Cincinnati. Cleveland is behind Cincinnati. Cleveland's ahead of Cincinnati right now, so they move up on Cincinnati because of the victory that they had in Ohio, in Cincinnati the last time that they played, a big victory, in fact. So they get to move up 2 spots, and we'll get to the Bengals in a little bit here, but they did lose, and they do fall a couple of spots. All right, the Tennessee Titans with the loss by Baltimore. Kansas City won also. We'll get to them next. But the Tennessee Titans move into the number 2 spot. They shut out the Jacksonville Jaguars. All sorts of turmoil going on in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer and his assistant coaches and sources being leaked and threatening of jobs and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is on the field, they're 2-11 now. Trevor Lawrence, 4 interceptions, and that's obviously not good. They did not get a point. 20-0. The Titans shut them out. Ryan Tannehill with a rushing touchdown, and Deontay Foreman also with a rushing touchdown. The Titans move to 9-4. They're in the number 2 spot behind New England. They're tied with New England, but New England beat them about 2 Sundays ago with all the fumbles and all the turnovers that Tennessee had on the road. 9-4 the record for both New England and Tennessee and Kansas City. Kansas City in the 3 spot right now, as we said. We'll get to Kansas City in a second, but how about the Titans? How do you feel about the Titans? A lot of people think the Titans, if they can get their defense going, they may have a shot at this number 1 seed, even though New England has taken them down. There's no guarantee that New England's going to win the rest of these games. I mean, they're a great team right now, but they're not that great that can be overtaken. So Tennessee at number 2, a 20-0 win over Jacksonville, a big win for Tennessee. They needed that after coming off a couple of weeks where they were stumbling and fumbling and bumbling a little bit, as the old Howard Cosell line used to say. Chris Berman used to say that as well, too, taking it from Howard Cosell. All right, speaking of those Kansas City Chiefs, 1-3 to start the year, and now 8-1 since then. They come out and smash the Raiders. I mean, absolutely smash the Raiders, 48-9. They move to 9-4. They move ahead of the Ravens. They're in the number 3 spot. Patrick Mahomes, as usual, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Raiders. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 2 touchdowns. They also got a fumble recovery for a touchdown. The Raiders now 6-7 and trending down. And I mean trending down all the way down to the number 12 spot. How about the Raiders? I mean, really, 6-6. You're not playing great. Yannick Ngakoue, their free agent pass rusher they got. Great player, no doubt about it. Best pass rusher they have this year in 2021. You go out to the Chiefs logo, a team that you have a house of horrors in Kansas City. You go out there and stomp on the logo of the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that just stomped your asses 41-14 in Las Vegas, where they had 5 touchdowns. They get 6 more touchdowns here against you, and that's 13 touchdowns in 2 games. And you're stomping on logos? Are you kidding me? 48-9. I'm sure the Chiefs didn't like that very much. So what'd they do? They handle it on the field. That's what Andy Reid teams do. They handle it on the field, and they smash the Raiders. There's not really much to say other than the Chiefs are 8-1 in their last 9. They've got a top 5 defense. The Raiders are trending down. They started out 5-2. They're only 1-5 in their last 6. I don't know where to take it from there, but 6-7. They move all the way down to the 12th spot. They're behind Pittsburgh, Denver, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Buffalo, Indianapolis, all with 6 losses. So theoretically, they're only 1 loss back. But this team does not provoke any confidence in moving up the rankings to get into a playoff spot. I mean, you're looking at Indianapolis at 7-6. They had a bye, by the way. Final weekend of the byes for the NFL. So that's good for that. Buffalo, who we'll get to in a second, 7-6. Cleveland, told you about them. They beat Baltimore 7-6. Cincinnati lost to San Francisco. We'll get to them later, too, 7-6. And then Denver, who had a big game against Detroit, very emotional game against the Lions yesterday. I want to say hi to Taylor Phillips, who's watching with us right now. He of the Michigan Sports Truth podcast. They watched their Lions play yesterday and play not very well. So sorry, Taylor, for that. But Denver 7-6. And then Pittsburgh has that tie, so they're 6-1. They lost on Thursday night to Minnesota. So they are right there in the 11th spot. They're trending downward as well, too. And Miami's won 5 in a row. They're at 6-7 right now. So that's going to be very interesting to see how these next 4 weeks of NFL football go. We still have a Monday night game to talk about, and we'll get to that at the end here because it's a huge Monday night game in the NFC West. All right, but moving back to Sunday from the Britannia Arms in Cupertino, we were all there. The Saints moved to 6-7, and it's the same scenario in the NFC. The 17th game, the extra playoff spot are keeping teams alive. Saints with a 39 win over the New York Jets. They move into 11th, but tied with 4 others with 7 losses, and the 4 others happen to be the Minnesota Vikings, the Washington Football Club, 6-7. They own the last playoff spot. Minnesota at 6-7. Philadelphia at 6-7. Atlanta at 6-7. They got a win. We'll get to them in a second. New Orleans with the win over the Jets. They're at 6-7, and they're in the 11th spot. So we might have lost 1 spot there. It was the top 12 going into the weekend. Now it's the top 11. Saints with a 30-9 victory. Defense got the call. They held the Jets down 3 field goals. Taysom Hill was not great. He didn't have any touchdowns. He threw for 180 yards. But Alvin Kamara back, and they cannot win without Alvin Kamara. Our friend Mike Triplett for ESPN, he's the Saints reporter there. We'll hope to have him on in a few weeks if the Saints can make a move here. But definitely they're in the division with Tampa Bay right now, and that's going to be a hard thing to catch. Tampa Bay, in fact, won the division with their win over Buffalo. Alvin Kamara, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. Top 5 running back. When he's there, the Saints are better. When he's not, Saints are where they are, 6-7 right now. Kamara missed a couple of games. A big one in the NFC East that started out to be a dud but turned out to be exciting. Cowboys build up a 24-0 lead, but Tyler Heineke got hurt after a fumble recovery for a touchdown that made it 18-0. Brandon Allen had to come back in. Washington got a couple of touchdowns. They almost covered that 6.5. The line was at 5 going into Sunday, but apparently people bet that on the Cowboys all the way up to 6.5. Dallas with the 27-20 victory over Washington. They stay in the 4th spot. They opened up the NFC East lead by 3 games now on Washington and Philadelphia. The Giants lost to the Chargers, so they're out of it. But as far as a lead for the Cowboys, they're 3 up with 4 to go. This division looks pretty much wrapped up for the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East, but they're in 4th, and they are trailing Tampa Bay by a game. They're trailing Green Bay by a game. They're trailing Arizona by 2 games in the loss column. Arizona with their game tonight against the Rams, a huge NFC West game, as we just said. But Dallas, a 27-20 win. Dak Prescott didn't look great. The running game didn't look great. They got out to a big lead thanks to the defense. They were able to put pressure on Heineke, sacked him quite a bit. I watched that game extensively. I had the action on the Washington football team. Thought they would come out and play better. They looked like a dud for the first half. Second half, they came back, and all of a sudden, it almost turned into a Baltimore Ravens situation where they may have got a chance at a backdoor cover, but it didn't work out that way. Brandon Allen fumbled towards the end of the game, and that turned out to be the difference for the Dallas Cowboys, who are now 9-4 in the 4th spot in the NFC rankings of the playoffs behind Arizona, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay. All right, the next game that we have to go to from Sunday, the Atlanta Falcons, 5-2 against the spread on the road. How about that? They're 6-7. They're tied with Philadelphia, Minnesota, New Orleans, and Washington. They're in the 10th spot, so they still got a ways to go right now. In fact, Philadelphia beat them head-to-head. They beat them on week 1 or week 2. I think Minnesota also beat Atlanta as well, too. So they have that as well on them. Philadelphia is in the 9th spot, Minnesota in the 8th spot, and Washington in the 7th spot. But how about the Falcons? Cam Newton, PJ Walker, they were rotating quarterbacks. They beat up Cam Newton pretty bad. 2 interceptions. The Panthers rotated the quarterbacks. PJ Walker had the other interception. The Falcons defense looked good. The 29-21 victory, a lot of people thought this game was going to be under. Didn't think there would be enough offense, but when you turn the ball over and one of them's run back for a pick 6, thank you, Cam Newton, for that. The people that had the over in this game, God bless you, because there was no way that over should have happened without the turnovers that took place. So Matt Ryan, alive for another week. The Atlanta Falcons and their defense for Arthur Smith, the first-year head coach, former offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. They're still alive for week 15 coming up next week. Once again, it's just amazing to me as I look at it. Washington at 6-7, Minnesota at 6-7, Philadelphia at 6-7, Atlanta, New Orleans, both at 6-7. Atlanta ahead of New Orleans. In the AFC, from the Chargers down 8-5, they own the 5th spot all by themselves. Indianapolis 7-6, they had a bye. Buffalo 7-6, they're the 7th team. Cleveland 7-6, Cincinnati 7-6, Denver 7-6, Steelers 6-1. The Raiders and Dolphins 12-13, 6-7, as they bring out the bottom there. And of course, the Jets, Houston, Jacksonville, all eliminated officially. And then in the NFC, Detroit's been officially eliminated as well too. Not yet for Seattle, the Giants, and Chicago. Let's move on to Seattle. Russell Wilson has never had a year where he's been under 500, and that streak looks to continue. They beat up on the Houston Texans 33-13. Wilson was great. The defense played great. Looked like Seattle of old. I know this is the Houston Texans. 5-8 and still a chance to not go below 500. The playoffs may be out of reach with all the teams ahead of them, but this is a big barometer for Russell Wilson to see if the Seahawks quit or not. You know how Pete Carroll is, his enthusiasm, and he won't let them quit. Russell Wilson, he prepares like it's the Super Bowl as opposed to a 5-8 team. Davis Mills got the start for Houston. He's not much better than Tyrod Taylor. Houston Texans having a rough time. They finish out after yesterday. They finished out at 2-11. They're tied with Jacksonville for 2-11 right now. Those two and the Lions are battling out for the number 1 draft pick right now. The Detroit Lions have the edge with only 1 win, and then Houston and Jacksonville. Houston's actually ahead of Jacksonville right now. They beat Jacksonville early in the year. So there you go. That's the scenario for the bottom half of the teams, but we're talking about the playoff halves. All right, when we come back in 30 seconds, the afternoon games, we'll tell you about a very special day in Denver. Unfortunately, the Chargers and the Giants played 2 great overtime games for the later games with Cincinnati and San Francisco, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay. And then, of course, the night game, my Chicago Bears. They took it on the chin to Aaron Rodgers. You still own us, number 12. You still own us. Even though we had a big lead, our defense couldn't hold it. You came back and did your thing, and you still own us. I pay homage to number 12 out of the University of California at Berkeley here in Northern California. Speaking of Northern California, thanks to Britannia Arms again in Cupertino for sponsoring us and letting us come in and do our NFL pregame show yesterday morning, 9:45. Next weekend, I'll be in Capitola, but don't forget the NFL Sunday Ticket, a full preview of the NFL games and implications. plus all your side and lines, live from the Britannia Arms of Capitola next week. Cupertino yesterday. The Britannia Arms of Capitola, 10 years old, on the shores of the Pacific Ocean, located on the end of the Capitola Village. We will be there on Sunday, 9:30 in the morning before NFL kickoff, a full preview of Week 15 Sunday with the NFL ticket all day, the British food and pub on the ocean as well. Hopefully, if it's raining or otherwise, you still get the ocean weather. The Britannia Arms of Capitola, a great place to be. Don't forget, we're also sponsored by Super Draft Pro. They're our new partners. Download the app or log in at superdraftpro.com/VPartySports. A great way to make some dollars, different way to play fantasy football. Right now, it's been exciting to partner up with them as well, too. So thanks to Super Draft Pro as well. All right, 30 seconds. We'll be back with the afternoon games, and then we'll hit the NBA, some college basketball, and then some NHL to close out the Monday edition of the Make the Money and Run podcast for Monday, December 13th, 2021. I'm your solo host, Vasi Vadaparty. Back in 30. Welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast, sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino and the Britannia Arms of Capitola. Don't forget, we'll be there on Sunday, as we were yesterday in Cupertino. We'll host the Make the Money and Run podcast live kickoff at 9:30 before NFL kickoffs at 10 o'clock on the West Coast times. Full preview of Week 15 Sunday with the NFL ticket all day. Best British food and pub you'll find in Northern California. And also Super Draft Pro, our new sponsor, a different way to do fantasy football. Daily fantasy sports. Download the app or log in at superdraftpro.com/VPartySports. Get in there, get the subscriptions, get a chance to create your own contest. Get in there and have a shot at winning some real dollars, some real opportunity. All right, welcome back into the studio. Vasi Vadaparty here. We got done with the early games. in the NFL yesterday. Lots to talk about from a standings point. We'll get to the Monday night game in a second, but in the afternoon, the Broncos, oh boy, the Broncos 38 to 10 over Detroit yesterday. The Lions now 1-11-1. We had thought, Charlie and I had both thought yesterday the Lions could cover the 11.5. Denver's offense ended up playing really well yesterday. It was very interesting how they just dominated the Lions on both sides of the ball. They moved to 7-6. They moved to 10th. They're tied with 4 other clubs, all the way up to the Colts, who were off this weekend, as we said, but they're in 6th. Buffalo in 7th. Cleveland, Cincinnati, 8-9. And then there's Denver at 10. They're a half game up on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lost on Thursday night. They have a tie on their record, so that's why they're 6-1. So right now, the Denver Broncos still have a shot. They're 2 games back of the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 1 game back of the Chargers. They have another game against the Chargers later in the year as the AFC West starts to tighten up. The Chargers are only 1 game back of the Kansas City Chiefs right now, so they could still be looking at a division. Sad note, we told you about last week, Demaryius Thomas, the all-pro receiver, passed away over the weekend, 33 years old. Holy cow. His birthday was going to be next week, right before Christmas. He was going to be 34. Broncos celebrated his life all day during the day. In fact, they ran a delay of game with an open spot where his position was. Very sad. And also, clearly, the Lions, was showing the class and everything they've gone through with Oxford High School. They declined the penalty, and then they were able to go on and play football. So RIP to Demaryius Thomas. Denver Broncos handled it the right way. Detroit Lions handled it the right way as well, too. But in the end, it's still a sad day. Life lost. Demaryius Thomas, 33 years old. Very sad. Broncos beat the Lions 38-10. They moved to 7-6. They're in the 10 spot. All right. At SoFi Stadium last night, the New York Giants, boy, did they not have a chance. We have a friend that went down there. Her and her guy went down there to go watch her New York Giants play, but they didn't show up. 37-21, the Chargers beat the Giants. They had a big lead early, 30-9. They were able to get some points on the board. The Chargers were 9.5-point favorites. They covered the game. They beat up the Giants with defense. Justin Herbert, 3 touchdowns, 275 yards. Those that say that Justin Herbert is not an NFL elite quarterback are watching a different game. Believe me, they are watching a different game. The Justin Herbert-led Chargers are, in fact, a very good team. They're 8-5. They have some of their inconsistencies. They did lose 2 home games this year, one to the Patriots at home and one to the Minnesota Vikings at home. So you take maybe even one of those losses away. They're tied with the Chiefs right now, and actually they would be in first right now because they have the head-to-head on the Kansas City Chiefs with one more game left back at SoFi. The Chargers, 37-21. They're in the 5th spot all by their lonesome. They are only one game back of the Kansas City Chiefs. How about that? One game back of the Kansas City Chiefs. The LA Chargers playing well. Defense solid. The offense right now, Austin Eckler, a little bit of a fumbling problem, but for the most part, Justin Herbert, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns against a very weary New York Giants defense. All right, the 2 games of the day, the late games, the very late games, 4:25 starts on the East, 1:25 out here. I live in Northern California. A lot of people were confident on the 49ers. The line went from Cincinnati -1.5 all the way up to San Francisco -2.5. So it's 1.5. That's a 4-point swing. You never see that in the NFL, certainly not from a -3 to a -7. A lot of people confident in the 49ers. I had bought a 0.5 point to 3, so I had pushed on it. So I was lucky on that. Brandon Ayuk gets the game-winning touchdown pass from Jimmy Garoppolo in overtime after the Bengals kick a field goal to take a 23-20 lead. Bengals are down 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase got those 2 touchdowns from Joe Burrow, who had his 2 touchdowns, 348 yards. T. Higgins, 5 catches, 114 yards. We talked about the Chase's 2 touchdowns, including the touchdown that sent it to overtime. Great route he ran in the end zone. But in the end, the 49ers get the win, 26-23. Brandon Ayuk with a big game. George Kittle, 13 catches, 151 yards. He had a touchdown. Why are you not looking for Kittle on every play? I mean, obviously you can't, but that's the kind of production you get. You get a win out of it. San Francisco 49ers are now in 6th place, all by their lonesome at 7-6. The Rams play tonight. The Rams are ahead of them. The 49ers trounced the Rams earlier in the year on a Monday night. 2 games back in the loss column. If Arizona wins, then the Rams will go to 8-5. There'll be a game up on the 49ers for that 5th spot, which would be very important because I think right now the number 4 spot's held by Dallas. The 6th spot will be playing Tampa Bay, according to if the as the old saying goes, if the season ended today, which it doesn't. We have 3 more games left after this Monday night between the Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. So San Francisco with a big win, 26-23 over the Cincinnati Bengals. What does this do for the Bengals? It moves them down to the 9th spot. They fall below Cleveland from their head-to-head loss that Cleveland put on them in Cincinnati a few weeks back when the Cincinnati weather station said Baker Mayfield were more accurate than Baker Mayfield passes. So I will never forget that. That's like Yannick Ngakoue stepping on the logo for the Raiders against the Chiefs in a house of horrors that they've had. Very interesting how that happened, but you just have to figure out that I don't get why that they would do that, that the Raiders would do that. Anyway, Bengals fall to 7-6. They're in the 9th spot. They're tied with Cleveland and Buffalo. Buffalo owns the 7th spot right now in the wild card. Speaking of those Buffalo Bills, they came back from 24-3 down, 27-10 down. They lose in overtime, 33-27 as Brashad Perryman gets a 58-yard touchdown pass from who else? The GOAT to cover the 3.5. I had Buffalo +4. I bought a 0.5 point to 4 when they tied the game. Actually wanted to miss the field goal, but that's not the way the game works. You didn't think that they were going to get a touchdown in overtime. That's the way it goes sometimes. Tampa Bay with the touchdown covers for the Buccaneers bettors, 33-27, 58-yard touchdown pass for Brashad Perryman. Got by the Bills defense, was able to go down the right sideline. Tom Brady, 363 yards, 2 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, has he come into his own now? I don't think they can win without Leonard Fournette. I know they have Tom Brady and their gaggle of wide receivers and tight ends that they have, but I don't think they can win without Leonard Fournette. 113 rush yards, 1 touchdown. Chris Godwin had 10 catches, 105 yards for Tampa Bay, but the Perryman catch, the one that breaks the back of the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, 109 yards rushing, 308 yards passing. They got to get a running game. 2 touchdowns, the 1 big interception toward the half, almost gave Tampa Bay, I think, a field goal towards the end there, and they were able to win the game 33-27. Buffalo had a chance to win the game late. They were down inside the 10-yard line. could not punch it in, got the game-tying field goal, and then we know what happened in overtime. Rashad Perryman, 58 yards to the house for the win. Tampa Bay 10-3. They're in the 3 spot right now. They are behind the Green Bay Packers and the Arizona Cardinals. They don't play each other, I believe. I don't think they play each other. Let me see here. Saints, Bucks, Panthers, Buccaneers, Jets, Panthers, Bucks. So the Buccaneers have the Panthers twice, the Saints once. That's next Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. And then they've got the lowly New York Jets, another AFC East team that Tom Brady has dominated. They have not played the Packers or the Arizona Cardinals yet this year. They played the Rams. That was the game that they played in the NFC West. They played the Rams this year early. So Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, 10-3. They are going back to they're going to host the Saints next week. The Saints beat them early in the year, so this is a big game for both teams. Tampa Bay clinches the division, the NFC North. It's a huge game for the New Orleans Saints to go on the road and try and get a victory and keep their playoff hopes alive. A loss to Tampa Bay would probably hurt their chances to get into the playoffs. And finally, on Sunday night, the Green Bay Packers, as I said, you own us, Aaron Rodgers. You own us, you own us, you own us. 21-5, 22-5 now. After the victory last night, the Bears had a big 24-14 lead, 13.5-point underdogs. All Aaron Rodgers does is come back and score and score and score. Bears got out to a lead, but the Rodgers led them back 4 touchdowns, 341 yards for the great number 12 of Green Bay. A.J. Dillon, 71 rushing yards. Anybody seen Aaron Jones lately? Not a lot of Aaron Jones lately. Got a feeling A.J. Dillon might end up becoming the back that everybody thinks he's going to be when they drafted him, but now he might be in the position to take over for Aaron Jones. No, Aaron Jones has been hurt. I know he's got some injury problems, but A.J. Dillon doing the job right now for the Green Bay Packers. Devante Adams, his usual self on Sunday Night Football. 11 straight games, I think they said. Somewhere between 9 and 11 straight games, a touchdown on Sunday Night Football. He had 2. He had 2 last night. 10 catches, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. Justin Fields was okay, 224 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's still at the point where he's still doing some good things, but it's going to take a little time for them to get going here. So the Packers now 10-3. They await what happens with Arizona. They beat Arizona early in the year, so if somehow the Rams can beat the Arizona Cardinals on the road, they got trounced by Arizona at home the first time, 37-20. The Green Bay Packers will take over the number 1 spot if Arizona ends up losing this game. And the Rams, by the way, if they win this game, they'll be at 9-4, and they can win this, put the Cardinals at 10-3. They'll only be a game back of the NFC West. So between the AFC West and the NFC West, we've got some races here that are still going on. And, of course, all the playoff implications, wild cards from 6-12, 6-11 now in the NFC, and then 6-13 in the AFC as well, too, with 1 loss separating all the teams there. All right. Monday Night Football. Let's get to Monday Night Football here. We said the Rams, the Cardinals 10-2, first place in the NFC, best record in the NFC. Rams 8-4 in the 5 spot. Rams are 4-2 on the road, 3-3 against the spread. The only road game they didn't cover was the Houston Texans game where they were up 38-0. Texans came back, got 22 points, covered the 16.5 or 17 points that we have there as well, too. So the Rams 4-2 on the road, 3-3 against the spread, 3-2-1 on the over and under. Where's the one? It was against the New York Giants. It was 38-11. The total of that game was 49, so it ended up right on the number as they blew out the Giants in that road game as well, too. Arizona, 10-2. They are 7-0 on the road, but 3-2 at home. Only 3-2 at home. 2-3 against the spread, 2-3 over and under. The line is Arizona -2.5, 51.5. They beat the Rams early this year. They're at home. I know they don't play well at home. Matthew Stafford has struggled a little bit. They started off on a good pace to the Rams. This is a game where you'd have to take, and we'll have our social media selections by 6 o'clock Eastern, but you got to think that Arizona might be the way to go here. They're at home. It's a division game. Here are the implications for Arizona. If they win, not only will they increase their lead to 3 over the Rams in the division with 3 to go, they have 2 games in the bag against the Rams. So I guess the only way that would happen is this would be a division game for Arizona. I believe if they win, they could clinch the division. Theoretically, they'll be 3 up with 3 to go, and they'll have swept the season series. So that's your tiebreaker. First tiebreaker is head-to-head tiebreaker. So there you go. It's a big game for Arizona, 2.5-point favorite, 51.5 the total. You got to lean toward Arizona. I believe the public is leaning toward Arizona right now as well, too. They are 59%, 59.3 to 40.4. I guess this is like politics. To my knowledge, that doesn't add up to 100%. So 0.3% error, plus or minus, depending on how you look at it. So Arizona right now, the tie. Oh, people think it's going to end up as a tie. There we go, 0.3%. Good thing I noticed that part because I don't think it's going to end up in a tie. And I'm not sure how the Rams are going to acclimate Odell Beckham Jr. If they've been acclimated. Defense has struggled a little bit. Arizona has a game plan for Aaron Donald. They're going to have to figure out how to attack the other cornerback and safeties away from Jalen Ramsey as well, too. All right, we are here every Monday, Thursday, and Friday, 3 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. It's the Friday football show, 1 Eastern as well. Check out our social media selections every day at 6 o'clock. Latest news, latest line action, our selections, intern Nick, Charlie O, myself. You can also get to us on Twitter at MTMAR Podcast. Send us an email, mtmarpodcast@gmail.com. We also have Facebook and Instagram pages as well, too. Thanks again to everybody at the Britannia Arms in Cupertino. Don't forget to check out their happy hour specials, BritanniaArmsDeanza.com, 408-252-7262, and the Britannia Arms of Capitola, where we will be next Sunday morning, West Coast time, 9:30 in the morning, NFL preview kickoff show for Week 15. Lots of playoff implications we just went through with the NFL as well. The Monday night game, we said the Rams and the Arizona Cardinals, big NFC West game. Don't forget Super Draft Pro. You can get on there and play some of your fantasy sports, daily fantasy sports on Super Draft Pro. Download the app or log in at superdraftpro.com/VPartySports. Different types of ways to play games. Create your own game, get into a contest, creating a community, real opportunity to win real dollars. superdraftpro.com, superdraftpro.com/VPartySports. All right, 30 seconds, come back. We'll talk a little NBA. The Chicago Bulls have had COVID issues now. They're going to miss their next 2 games. The Calgary Flames are going to miss their next few games. They got postponed tonight. No hockey tonight in the NHL for a Monday. Very surprising to see that. But with everything else going on, college basketball and the NBA, we'll preview a little bit of it. We'll review the weekend in the NBA and college basketball, some big college basketball games that took place. Back in 30 seconds, Vasi Vada Party here, sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino and Capitola and SuperDraftPro.com. Back in 30 with the rest of the Make the Money and Run podcast for this Monday. And welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast. Don't forget you can download, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Just look for that logo up in the right-hand corner on Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, and SoundCloud. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Thanks to Tom and Taylor on Facebook as well, Ashish as well, for tuning in to the podcast. We talked about the NFL. Let's hit the NBA here a little bit as we go through the weekend. The Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors leading the way right now. Over the weekend, the Warriors lost at Philadelphia. They're 21-5. How about the Indiana Pacers? They get threatened to blow up the team, and they've won 3 in a row. They got a big win over Dallas. The Pacers and the Brooklyn Nets both got 2 wins. Milwaukee also got 2 wins. They're in second place now, ahead of the Bulls. Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Chicago, the top 3 in the East. Miami, Cleveland, and the 76ers round out the next 3. The NBA continues in the West. Lakers win 2. The Suns won a big game against Boston on Friday night. They won it without Devin Booker, without DeAndre Ayton, and a big win over Boston. Boston had a rough week this week. They got blown out by the Lakers. They played a close game against the Clippers in LA, and then they get run out of the building in Phoenix by the Suns. So they're on an 0-3 slide right now. They're back at home. They host the number 2 seed Milwaukee Bucks at the TD Garden tonight. We'll get to the games in a second. Warriors lose to the Sixers on Saturday, as we said. Curry's trying for the record. They're at 21-4. Phoenix, Golden State 21-5. The Jazz with big wins over Washington and Philadelphia. The games tonight that we have in the NBA: Heat at Cleveland. In fact, I'm going to Heat at Cleveland, Warriors at Pacers, Kings at Raptors, Rockets at Hawks, Bucks at Celtics, 76ers Grizzlies, Hornets Mavericks, Wizards Nuggets, and those Phoenix Suns are going to be in LA to take on the LA Clippers tonight. Suns a 3-point favorite. I'm going to get to this. I'm going to get to the NBA lines. I'm surprised we didn't get the NBA lines up for you tonight, but we'll have them on the 6 o'clock social media selection show. But some of the interesting games tonight in the NBA are going to be obviously the Bucks and Celtics. Bucks favored by a point, and the total at 223. So let me run these down again here. Cleveland 5.5. They are on a roll right now. 208 the total with Miami. Miami's had some injury problems lately. Golden State 3.5 at Indiana. Indiana's won 3 straight after the threat of breaking up the team. 213.5. Curry goes for the record tonight. He needs 6 to pass Ray Allen. That game on NBA TV. Sacramento 4.5-point underdog to Toronto. Toronto beat the Knicks over the weekend. That's their first game since then. 222 the total for Toronto and Sacramento. Houston, they've been playing well lately. They're going to go to Atlanta. Atlanta, 10-point favorite, 227. Atlanta lost to Brooklyn on Friday night. And then on Saturday, I don't think they played on Saturday. They played yesterday. They did not. So since Friday, they've lost on Friday to the Brooklyn Nets as a 2.5-point favorite. 10-point favorite here, 227 for Atlanta over Houston. Milwaukee, a 1-point favorite, 223 at Boston. Boston, 3-game losing streak on this road trip, coming home from LA and Phoenix. Philadelphia, 3.5 at Memphis, 210.5. Philadelphia lost to Utah, beat Golden State on Saturday. They got a chance to move up in the standings. They're number 6 right now in the Eastern Conference of the NBA. Charlotte, Dallas, 2.5-point favorite. They're going to be without Luka Doncic, though. Charlotte coming off their COVID issues right now. 2.5 Dallas, 216.5 the total. Washington Wizards, who started off hot, they're going in to play Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Denver lost to San Antonio on Thursday, and they come back on Saturday, end up beating San Antonio 127-112 on Saturday night. And then now this is their next game against the Washington Wizards. 3.5-point favorite for Denver, 216.5 for those Nuggets. And then Phoenix, a 3-point favorite, 211.5, visiting the LA Clippers tonight. Not sure about Devin Booker's stat. Let me see if I can check the injuries right now while I got him. Devin Booker was out on Friday. Devin Booker is out. Abdel Nader is out. Jalen Smith is day-to-day, and DeAndre Ayton also day-to-day for the Clippers. Paul George is day-to-day. Nicholas Batum day-to-day. So check your injury reports. Check back with us at 6 o'clock Eastern for the latest action and latest news as well. All right, let's move on to the NCAA here a little bit. NCAA, we got a new number 1. 3 weeks in a row, we've had a new number 1. It was Gonzaga for the first part of the year. Then Duke, after the upset, moved up to number 1. Duke lost, so they went out. Purdue ended up being the number 1 ranked team in the nation. And then they get beat by Rutgers on Thursday night in an overtime loss. And now Baylor, who routed Villanova yesterday, they are the new number 1. How about college basketball? And I'll say this till the cows come home, or till the rain stops. And right now it's not stopping in Northern California. College basketball, they play each other. Teams will go out and schedule each other. Top 25 teams will play top 25 teams. And that's the difference between college football and college basketball. I know there's certain parameters with college football, but you get these games out of the way. You get these games against top teams out of the way. All it does is help your tournament resume for March Madness. So Baylor, the new number 1, they rout Villanova. Maryland upsets Florida. The Rutgers came back. Rutgers beat Purdue. Purdue came back and beat North Carolina State Saturday. Alabama, a big game Saturday night. Number 9 Alabama hosting number 14 Houston. 3.5-point favorite was Alabama. Houston ends up losing by 1, but what a great game it was. Came down to a last-second shot. I know it was on Saturday with all the other things going on. The Warriors were on at the same time, especially here in the Bay Area. But that Alabama-Houston game, 9 o'clock Central Time, they started at night on ESPN2 in Tuscaloosa. So good for them to start late night basketball because that turned out to be a great game. Notre Dame beat Kentucky. It's mild upset, 4.5-point underdog at home. But the Fighting Irish come back and beat Calipari's Kentucky Wildcats. Arizona down big and then up big and then down again. And then finally ends up getting a victory, covering the -3 at Illinois. And then Ohio State with a win over Wisconsin. They were down 17-8 to start the game. They end up beating them by 18 points. So really by 22, actually, a 30-point swing for Ohio State in that game over Wisconsin, who has a tough time. Shout out to UCLA. They beat Marquette on Saturday night. They got in late on Friday because of traveling problems. The game was already originally scheduled for 1:30 Central Time on Fox. It got moved to Fox Sports 2 at 8:30 Central Time late night. So they probably didn't get back till either late Saturday night or early Sunday morning, probably for a day of rest. But they ended up winning big over Marquette on Saturday as well, too. All right, a couple of NHL notes to go through. The Flames, we told you, are postponed against the Blackhawks. Flames' next 2 games at least will be postponed due to COVID. The Ottawa Senators just came off their COVID restriction. They're playing better since they did. Vegas beat Minnesota. Minnesota had the best record, the most points in the West coming into the weekend. They lose to the Kings, and now they lose to Las Vegas. Vancouver gets a home win over Carolina. And the Ducks, how you doing, everybody in St. Louis? Jennifer Cornett, everybody out there, Blues fans. They got beat by the Anaheim Ducks in overtime on Saturday night. Lightning lose to Ottawa, as we said. Toronto's still hot. They get a 5-4 victory over the Blackhawks on Saturday. Flames' last game that they played, they lost to Boston, so they're going to be gone with that sour taste of the Boston Bruins on their home ice, on Calgary's home ice. And now they're going to have to wait for a few days to try and get some clarity on the COVID issue. San Jose Sharks are playing well this year. They beat the Dallas Stars at home on Saturday night. The Islanders beat the Devils on Sunday. The Rangers beat Buffalo. Buffalo had a game-tying goal that was taken away mistakenly by the officials. The NHL did call the Buffalo Sabres to apologize to them, but that doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything for the Buffalo Sabres, who lost the game on a non-call, and you hate when that happens. Penguins are playing better. They beat Washington Friday night. That's a big rivalry, as we know. 4-2, the Penguins on the road at Washington beat them. And then the Philadelphia Flyers beat Las Vegas on the road Friday night. Big win for the Flyers. They fired their coach. They had lost 8 in a row, and now it seems like they're playing better a little bit. Don't forget, we will be at the Britannia Arms of Capitola, Make the Money and Run podcast live at 9:30 before NFL kickoff. A full preview of Week 15 Sunday with the NFL ticket all day. The best British food and pub you'll find in Northern California. They're on the ocean in the Capitola Village, right there near Santa Cruz. Come on down. We'd love to meet everybody. We had a great time in Cupertino yesterday. We want to do it as well in Capitola as well too. So 9:30 in the morning, West Coast time on Sunday. They have the Sunday ticket, breakfast, lunch, best British pub and food you'll find anywhere along Northern California, but also the fact that you can walk outside in between games or during breaks and you look out at the gorgeous Pacific Ocean out there. And I don't know what kind of day we're going to have. If it's like today, it's still nice to go out there and walk in the rain a little bit. So come on down and meet us. We'll look forward to it. Of course, you can always tune in live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to catch our show live. And then don't forget to download the app or log in at superdraftpro.com/VParty Sports. Super Draft Pro, our new partner. Great opportunities to win real community, real dollars, real opportunities. The games are played different than the other daily fantasy sites, so you have a chance to win. You've got a good chance to win and keep going with Super Draft Pro. Sign up now for a subscription, get in on all the free contests, create your own league, and have a chance to win some real dollars, real opportunities, and also create a community. Don't forget, we're here every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Charlie O will be back with me on Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern, Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern for the Friday football show. Every Monday here at 3 o'clock Eastern as well. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Download and subscribe if you missed the live broadcast. We appreciate it. Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Social media selections every day, 6 o'clock Eastern. Latest news, latest trends, latest lines, latest actions for your wagering action, for your fandom action, for your daily sports action, daily sports fantasy action. Everything that you need to know, we'll have it for you by 6 Eastern every day, Monday through Friday. 3 times on Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning West Coast time, 11 o'clock East, 3:30 Eastern time, and then 6:30 Eastern time on Saturday, and then noon Eastern on Sunday, and 3:30 Eastern on Sunday as well, too. All right, that's going to do it for today. Vasi Vatapati here, your solo host. We'll look forward to seeing you Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern for the Make the Money and Run podcast. Charlie O will join me. I'm going to get an intern Nick on to come in and talk about his unique angles of player props and daily sports wagering as well, too. Don't forget the Britannia Arms of Cupertino and Capitola. Download the app for Super Draft Pro at superdraftpro.com/VParty Sports. Vasi Vatapati here for the Make the Money and Run podcast for this Monday. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the games. Good luck. We will see you on Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern. And don't forget, every day, 6 o'clock for social media selections. Have a great afternoon.